My name is Baratunde Thurston, and I am a nerd, very proudly. Thank you, Hillary. One more time for Hillary Mason. That was beautiful. I'd like to talk to you very briefly about satire, power, and the networked world we keep hearing so much about. I am a comedian. I've been doing stand-up comedy for nearly 10 years in the United States. I work for The Onion, America's finest news source. I like to climb on desks and stick my tongue out a lot. And I've written a book called How to Be Black. It's out in February next year. I have a very simple marketing pitch for the book. If you don't buy this book, you are a racist. Pretty simple. I plan to make the bestsellers list through guilt. Very smart. This is my great-grandfather, Benjamin Lonesome, born in 1870 in the state of Virginia, born a slave. Moved to D.C., started working for the government there, gave birth to and helped raise two daughters, one of whom is pictured here, my mother's mother, Lorraine Martin. After my own mother passed away in 2005, we found out that our grandmother was the first black employee at the United States Supreme Court building. Fascinating detail. This is Jimmy Carter giving her a commendation. Clap for her. That's cool. She was a great figure in her community. She's very active. She was not so active at the parenting part of her job. This is the adorable daughter that she helped produce, my mother, Arnita Thurston, at 4 years old. You can see where I get my cuteness from. Puffy cheeks still there. My grandmother decided to take an extraordinary step and sent my own mother to a private boarding school outside of Philadelphia. Very uncommon for 1940s black America. It was a black Catholic boarding school. My mother was not so very happy in this situation. She wrote a letter to her mother I'd like to share with you. Dear mother, I am having fun, but I do not like it here. I am mad at you. Please send me some cookies and a Sparkle Plenty doll. Sparkle Plenty was a very popular doll figure in the 1940s and 50s in the US. They can have dolls here. Please send it because I do not have anything to play with. Yours truly, Arnita. So that's a little funny, a little sad, a little weird, and I want you to notice that there's handwriting on the lower left corner of the letter that is not my mother's shaky, scribbly, 8-year-old scrawl. It's perfect cursive script. And on the other side is a letter which reads, if your little girl is dissatisfied, we'd be glad to have her bed for children who are anxious to come. Signed, Sister. So this is like 1940s wiretapping going on here. Very dramatic, very invasive, a very oppressive situation. Now, my mother emerged from this. She grew up for a while as a very appropriate Negro citizen of the time. She wore dresses beneath the knee. She posed for photographs with baskets in her hand. I don't know what's in the basket, but it looks adorable and very appropriate. Then she started hanging out with people that looked like this. This is a man named El Dorado. He is the coolest human being you will never meet. Look at his pants, look at his shirt, look at his phone. This was the beginning of her own transformation. Her social network was changing, and she started hanging out further with people like this, with Nigerians and Eritreans and black power activists from New York and the DC area. That's my mother standing right there in the middle, pointing right at the camera in a revolutionary moment of freedom. She raised me in Washington, D.C., providing many opportunities, and I'm very proud to have shared some of those opportunities with Cheryl Conti, who you heard from before earlier at Jack and Jill Politics. My other major point of pride is to work for a fine news and satirical comedy organization known as The Onion. Here's a brief bit of background on what The Onion does and is known for. All right, so this is on 9/11, just after we published an issue, the headline, U.S. vows to defeat whoever it is we're at war with. After the election of President Obama, black man given nation's worst job. A very funny and very true statement, I think proven by history so far. We even have made some statements about France. This is in our Atlas book, our entry for France, One Nation Above God. France is home to Earth's entire population of 62.7 million people. Every single one of the planet's 427 cities, and all of its history, culture, and beauty. France is the only country in Le Monde. And there's a few other things. There's the Institute for Pretentious Mustards, which you can visit off in the countryside, and the invention of sarcasm, of course, most obviously. We have another story about Chanel developing durable low-cost perfume for the third world. So we have covered, this country to a degree. We've covered our own political situation. Just last week, Congress taking a group of school children hostage in this intense budget negotiations that are going on. And in the area of international coverage, we did a video report, which I actually, because of time, I'm not going to show the clip to you, but I'll describe a little bit of it. Ambassador stages coup at UN, issues long list of non-binding resolutions. So this is about a Ugandan official who storms the gate, and he just wants to issue reports. All his UN director power allows him to convene meetings. And that's essentially the core of that story. So you're going to hear something, and then we're going to go right past it. We'll watch a few seconds of it. It's actually pretty fun.
We have breaking news that's sending shockwaves through the international community. Ugandan Ambassador Kakimi Umtambe has seized control of the United Nations and has declared himself Secretary General for life. Brett Altman is live on the scene. Brett, what is the situation like there?
It's extremely tense, Brandon. There's no telling what a madman like Mutombe will do. As Secretary General, he has the ability to do anything, from outline the UN's year-long goals to propose agenda items for consideration by the Security Council.
I can't imagine what it must be like for those ambassadors inside, having no idea what this maniac would decide to place on the preliminary list of matters to be included in the provisional docket.
It's terrifying.
Brett, we've just secured a cell phone video taken inside the UN.
All right. So here's the point. All of what I've described so far exists on a spectrum of freedom. The freedom to teach yourself to read, the freedom to march in the streets, the freedom to make fun of your own government. And what excites me about this dinner tonight is that that continues overseas. In Egypt, I want to point out this to you. This is Bassem Youssef. He is being referred to as Egypt's Jon Stewart, a satirical news broadcaster who has a massive YouTube channel and following and has been dropping regular videos since the revolution. Here's a brief clip in Arabic.
وجنس وكلام من ده واحنا قاعدين سوري استاذ صلعت في فيديو يثبت كلام
This is Bassem, the other Bassem, not our Bassem, interviewing a fake correspondent about what's happening in Tahrir Square in Egypt. And the correspondent is saying, oh, there's sex, there's drugs, there's a carnival going on, all in opposition to the leader, but it's total madness. It's people in the street, Muslim brothers are having sex wildly. And the conclusion that he's drawn, he says, so, when we write the history of the revolution, there was music and dance, girls and boys, drugs and sex, and Muslim brothers. They had a carnival, they ate snacks, and all this led to the fall of the regime. And so this is his send-up of the mutated press coverage that we're seeing coming out. It's not just that it's taking place, that you have people doing the type of mockery there that we are so proud of having done in the US. But I want another example. Nigeria, the place where my name comes from, if not my blood, they have a headline on their version of The Onion. Nigerians have more enemies per capita than any other country. And this is an amazing story. Here's a quick excerpt of the text from that. While not putting an exact number on how many enemies each Nigerian has or will have in their lifetime, the consultants did provide incontrovertible evidence that Nigerians surpass all others in having enemies. To back their claims, the consultants pointed out how having enemies has entered into the culture and language of Nigeria. It is not uncommon to hear a Nigerian referencing his or her enemies, a senior partner of the firm said. It is part of their language to say things like, it is my enemies have failed. So they're attacking their own culture through this, but not just that. This is a direct attack on a major political figure. Nigerian government invents artificial intelligence, name it Reno Omokri, pass it off as real a human being. They're referring to the spokesperson for the president and referring to him as an it, which is an extraordinarily subversive thing to do in a public way. They say the robot, officially known as Kizaz 1, has even been set free amongst unsuspecting citizens and given the very human-sounding name, Mr. Reno Omokri. Investigations have revealed the events that led to the Nigerians' invention of the artificial intelligence just prior to the last elections. And faced with the impossible task of making the people love the presidential candidate, Jonathan Goodluck, who was also the current president, the government began searching for a chief propagandist for the administration. The brief was simple: to field a Nigerian who had no qualms selling the crappiest, falsest, vilest, most deceitful, most obnoxious, most patronizing government propaganda to Nigerians. This is coming from the comedians of their country. Final fun example: black men living abroad meet to discuss why white people are no longer afraid of them. That could go in any publication around the world. That works very well in America and Nigeria. Colombia is a place I would not have expected. They have had a lot of explosions in their power system down there. So this is the true press story. Malpractice may have caused explosion in Guri Dam. In the satirical publication El Chiguir Bipolar, which is like the Chupacabra, like it's a complicated name, Explosión El Guri es parte del nuevo sistema de energía a base de explosión. It's basically saying that the explosions at Guri are part of a new system of energy based on explosions. And they're kind of taking that and running it directly against them. And then finally, this is maybe the most powerful example in Afghanistan. And we saw some interesting documents from there earlier from WikiLeaks, so it's nice to come back to that. They have a version in Afghanistan of The Office. The sitcom came from the UK to the US. Here is a clip of that. It takes place in the Department of Sanitation. This is the minister that they're following. He's sort of the head of the office. And there are subtitles underneath. I will probably try to read along. I'm not sure if you can see them very well. So the first thing that will come up, and it's a very short clip. I think women are better than men. Women make up half our society, and without them, there is no life. In any case, you can't deal with women. But in Hejland, women are not valued. Secretary, don't make excuses. And I pray the day will come when women will be ministers, doctors, lawyers, even president. You're going to delete this part. You have to delete this part of the tape. Yes, sir, we'll delete it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If someone offered you a large amount of money, would you kill the minister? Now, here you have a sitcom in a very unstable environment attacking issues of women's liberation and liberty, corruption in the government, violence, security, terrorism, all through comedy. This is all, ladies and gentlemen, about freedom. Freedom to read, freedom to assemble physically, freedom to assemble virtually, freedom to report on what's going on, and freedom to hold the reporters themselves accountable through a higher truth, which is satire. I am proud to be a part of this tradition. I am more proud that we are seeing it emerge around the globe thanks to some of these more connected, cheaper tools of empowerment and of calling out those mutations and seeing people as people. Thank you so much. I'm Baratunde. Enjoy the rest of the day.